On August 20th of this year, I released a video called The Real Story Behind the Viral TikTok Video. I interviewed Gina Jaschke, the aunt of Jessica Lewis, whose remains, along with her boyfriend Austin Wenner, were found by teens using an app called Randonautica, investigating random coordinates that led them to a mysterious suitcase that they found on Alki Beach in Seattle, Washington, that contained their brutally dismembered remains. What Gina told me right after the interview, but I wasn't able to share with you until now, was that she already knew who the killer was. 62-year-old Michael Dudley, a cloud data specialist living in Burien, Washington, a mere 20-minute drive from Alki Beach, where he deposited their remains. In fact, I happened to be filming for that video the moment that I got that email Gina had sent me telling me that. Now, bear in mind, much of what you will hear discussed is unconfirmed and unverified, and suspects in the United States are presumed innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. To take everything that you hear today as fact at the surface level would be foolish. This just gets crazier and crazier by the minute, I swear. But with the credibility of the witnesses and the accounts that we will be hearing from today, dismissing their claims entirely would be equally foolish. Jessica and Austin had been living with Dudley, paying $1,500 a month to live with him at his house during the quarantine. And although it's been reported in the news that Dudley killed Jessica and Austin over a dispute over rent money, the truth may be far more sinister.
I know that the police, the report online says that it was because of rent money. But Jessica Cash paid him money. Yeah. It wasn't because of that. It's because they knew something that he didn't want people knowing.
Today you'll hear talk about abuse of his own daughter from the age of 10 until 18, an obsession with adult content, cruelty to animals, possible secret rooms built in his Burien home.
He has like a secret room that he could get to from either his garage or his downstairs of his house.
Terrified neighbors and acquaintances that he bragged about his dark deeds to.
And then he even went to the point of laughing and saying, oh, that TikTok video, those kids thought that they were going to find cash in the suitcase, and they did. Oh my God.
And had strong suspicions that he was responsible for not only the couple found in the suitcase, but possibly many others.
So he was the next person on his list, he said, and I was like, that's just fucking, he has a list of people he's killing? Wow. I had no doubt in my mind that he was the person that did it.
Welcome to NightDocs. And let's explore the possibility that the TikTok killer may in fact be a serial killer. This just gets crazier and crazier by the minute, I swear.
Cash's mom was here, was it yesterday or the day before, right? Mm-hmm. She was telling me that her sister Renee, who that's Cash's aunt, and that's how they met this guy, and she lived in a trailer there. Like she had a little trailer and lived on the property out that Mike guy's house, and they're an item, but not an item, you know, but they're very, very, very close, apparently. Well, she would call, you know, Cash's mom, you know, just like freaking out on occasion, going, oh my God, Charlene, I can't stay here anymore. I just can't live here anymore. There's rats everywhere. And it's like, you know, Charlene's mom is like, you know, she had multiple phones. I don't know if that Mike guy knew that, and he would just like lock her in the basement or whatever, and didn't know she had another phone, or I don't know. It was just kind of weird. This girl, you know, she was scared at first of talking.
Which girl are you talking about right now? You said you were talking to a couple of people, right?
Yeah. Okay, her name's...
Okay.
And she knows him very well.
Okay.
He's gone over to her house. She was saying how he wanted to kill the neighbor because the neighbor, he had chickens. And apparently he was watching these people's dogs or something. And one was a mama dog, one was a you know, they were related or something, these dogs. Well, the one killed a chicken, and he beat it to death with a hammer.
The dog?
The dog, you know, in front of Cash and Jesse, and left the carcass there for 3 days on his property, while the other dog, who was the mom or the dad or whatever, you know, all the other dogs were walking around, you know, sniffing, you know, whatever. And he left it out there for 3 days, just because, you know, to scare and intimidate people or whatever. And it's just gross. And then apparently, so he had animals himself, and one of them got hit by a car outside of his house, and he puts it in the freezer for 4 months. Who does that? You know? And so, you know, this girl, Jamie, was over there and went to go get a drink, and her boyfriend was like, oh, no, you don't want that freezer. I just remembered my little tape recorder thing in the middle of the conversation, but here, let me play it for you.
Yeah, sure.
And,
he just needs to stay in jail regardless.
yeah, that's just so nuts about that dog. Oh my God.
Yeah, I had nightmares for months from that.
Yeah, something's not right.
And it's the way he laughed about it, and the way he was joking about Cash being in the suitcase.
Yeah, that's just so.
And then he fucking even went to the point of laughing and saying, "Oh, that TikTok video, those kids thought that they were gonna find Cash in the suitcase, and they did."
Oh my God, no.
Like, what?
He said that?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And I told him, I was like, I don't want to talk to you. I'm sick to my stomach right now. I'm sick to my stomach. I don't care. Because I never wanted to like come out and say I know you fucking did it to him, because who knows what he would do to me.
Yeah.
Like if I said I know you fucking killed him.
Yeah.
But I told him, don't joke like that, like in my house. Like, do not.
Yeah.
That's disrespectful, and that's not a funny joke.
Yeah. And what did he say? Just,
And he was like, oh, you know, I'm just playing. I said, no, Mike, I don't know you're just playing. Mike, I don't, because you just laughed about somebody dying. To me, that's just, like, my stomach turned.
Oh my God.
Like,
Yeah.
that's fucking disgusting. Like,
Yeah.
anybody that can fucking joke around like that is just fucking disgusting as it is, whether you did it or not. At first I was like, no, he can't, you know, because I know him, and at first I thought he was a good guy, you know.
Yeah.
Like, she's done a lot of stuff for me that's been nice, you know, like that's what weirds me out. Like, he has been a really a somewhat of a good friend to me.
Mm-hmm.
And up until he started making those jokes and disrespecting me in my house.
Yeah.
And then, but it's just hard to believe somebody did that stuff when they've done so much stuff for you, you know?
Yeah.
It makes it hard for you to believe that in your head.
Yeah.
But every time I saw him, something else happened to the point where I was like, fuck that. That overgoes, like, what he did for me. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, putting it to where I don't even remember the good things he's done for me now. Like,
Yeah.
all I remember is everything he's done that has creeped me out. Whether or not I know or not if he did it or not, I still had that gut instinct that he did.
Yeah.
And every time I was around him, he said something else that just freaked me out more and more, to the point where I had no doubt in my mind that he was the person that did it.
I heard that they were, you know, digging up his yard and stuff.
Oh, yeah, I heard that they had a whole bunch of excavators there. And,
I don't know if they were going to go to other locations he lived at and dig in their yards. I have no idea. But they were digging in his yard.
my ex-boyfriend that says why, he told Cash and Jessica that he was going to kill them or whatever, but he said that my boyfriend was the next person, he was going to kill him too, but he was waiting until his mother passed away because he didn't want to put his mother through that emotional distress.
What?
Because his mother's 80 or whatever. So he was the next person on his list, he said, and I was like, that's just fucking, he has a list of people he's killing?
Wow. Why would he want to kill your ex-boyfriend?
Just because I heard that it's because they knew too much stuff. I know that the police, the report online says that it was because of rent money.
Investigators say the couple murdered and left in a suitcase and bags on Alki Beach were killed by their landlord because they hadn't paid rent.
But Jessica and Cash paid him money. Yeah. It wasn't because of that. It's because they knew something that he didn't want people knowing. Like, if they walked in on him, like, I heard that he has, like, a secret room. That he could get to from either his garage or his downstairs of his house. And there was a secret passage in some. I don't know if
I know there's a basement.
Because it just sounds so out of the wall. Like,
yeah,
it's a little weird.
I've heard that same story though too. I've heard that same story from a number of people. He had like tunnels or something underneath his house or some crazy stuff.
Okay, so that's what I heard, is that Cass walked in on him when he was putting the things back up to cover up the passageway. To go into the other room or whatever. That's why I was wondering if they found that, because if they didn't find like evidence of, you know, like where she did whatever he did, cut them up or whatever, like that's probably where he did it.
Yeah, probably.
The secret room or whatever.
That's so crazy.
But I mean, and then like that would make sense. Like, what if he is a serial killer and that he does have secret fucking passages? Like, this would all be so fucking weird. It's fucking freaks me. Like, I have nightmares.
Holy shit.
Like, this man hugged me. Like, the fuck?
Yeah. Just the
people don't hug serial killers.
Right. You know, just the fact that he had it sounds like he had a freaking list of people, and the fact that he was going to freaking do something to the neighbor. I mean, that's just so wrong.
So this just right now became way bigger. Like, I mean, we've got a possible serial killer on our hands. That Jesse and Cash, I'm almost convinced now, they probably were not the first people that he had killed. I'm sure once they got in that basement, the blue room was the least of their concerns. You said that you'd been hearing that people had been talking about hearing things in the vents and things like that. And with there being a basement, do you think there was somebody else being held in the house?
You know, I don't know that for sure. You know, okay, here's something really weird. When all this first started, I went straight over to a mutual friend's house that I knew Cash and Jesse hung out at, right? I was talking with them, and they were telling me that, you know, they were scared. They were scared, and they, you know, said if anything ever happens to me, you know who did it, you know. And
who said that?
Cash and Jesse.
Cash and Jesse both said that, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so they, to this person, to that person, to numerous people, they mentioned that, you know, this guy is, you know, if anything happens to us, you know who did it. And they were talking about like underground tunnels or something, and that, you know, they could hear weird stuff in the vents of the house. I haven't had anybody else tell me that, so I haven't really mentioned that before. But, and then of course the dog, how he beat the dog to death, you know, and
so we've got cruelty to animals, a loner, somebody with a crazy addiction to pornography. We've got, this is ticking every box. I was looking at a report on the house, and I was actually surprised to hear that there was a basement in there, and for some reason that was sticking out of my brain, and I couldn't figure out why, so I didn't really look too deeply into that. But I was trying to find a floor plan to the house, and I couldn't find one of those either. Sometimes they have them on Zillow.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Cash and Jesse were trying to get the plans to the house so they could see these passages or something. It was weird. I was told that you know, they were trying to get from the city of Burien or something the plans for the house, to look at the house or something bizarre.
And I'm just noticing now, like, people were talking about how weird it was that he kept growing the bushes in front of his house higher and higher so that people couldn't see the house from the road anymore. Like he was trying to conceal the place that he lived.
He's got so many cars, like he started collecting all these cars.
I saw that on Google Maps. That was wild to me.
Yeah, and that happened around the same time.
Were they all his?
Apparently they had a car, and after they were gone, the guy gave it to one of his girlfriends, some other girl, and she noticed that the whole trunk was like wet, like it had just been like steam cleaned or something, and there was a bunch of cleaning supplies in there.
Marlis Gordon says she was in a relationship with Michael Dudley on and off between 2002 and 2016. An incident in 2016 where Dudley was arrested and charged with assault.
She started to hit me and grab my hair and grab my head and my hair, and he threw me on the floor and hit my head into the hardwood floor, and then he was throwing me around and threw me and my stuff out on his patio, out the door and on his patio, and then came out and hit my head into the patio, and did that with one hand, and he was holding a gun in his other hand.
The way that they were discovered, was he trying to set it up, like, you know, like I don't know if he wanted them to be found, or, you know.
It almost sounds like it. And I was just thinking, you know, like typically like serial killers, towards the end of their spree or whatever you want to call it, they tend to get a little sloppy, a little bit vain, and a little bit like they want people to know about it. And so honestly, I mean, when Jesse and Cash were found, they weren't exactly well hidden.
No. And I don't think they were in the water that long, because they were right by each other.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I mean, that just seems odd to me.
Well,
yeah.
And I was just looking, it was only about a 20-minute drive from his house, so he didn't even go far.
Just the fact, though, he joked and laughed about it.
He did.
You know,
it sure sounds like it from that phone call.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact, time and again, apparently, it's like, dude, these were people.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, any landlord in their right mind, regardless, would be like, oh my God, that's terrible.
This is, I am so sorry for everything that's happened to your family, and this is so unfortunate that, but if, you know, if what it appears to be is correct, that Jesse and Cash were far from the first people that he's done something like this to, at least we now know that they will most likely be the very last. They are going to be going over his property with a fine-tooth comb.
Yeah, they were up there all night, all day, the next day. All kinds of stuff.
That's not something where you just kind of take a few pictures and, you know, okay, we've got enough. I mean, if what we are hearing is true, and that's a big if, we still, like, this is all still, like, he said, she said right now, until, you know, the police come back with reports and new charges of some kind. But there's, I'm having a tough time grasping a lot of this, really.
Right?
So,
like, is this real, or is like,
this is surreal.
Real?
This is absolutely surreal.
It is crazy, and
Okay, go ahead. You're live. What's the name of your? You got it. Facebook. You have a car?
Not. I've been drinking.
Oh. Let's see.